Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome back. And we have with us Caroline Oceana Ryan. Caroline is an author, intuitive, and energy, you told me, channeler? Is
Mhm.
that right? Yeah. And her business is called Ascension Times. And with that, Caroline, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your work?
Mhm. Well, it's great to be here with you, Alice, and hello to everybody. And the work I do is connected to my whole life journey because even as a child, I would talk to angels. I'm not saying I'm mind-blowingly gifted or anything, but they were just there. I would talk to them. I could see them in my mind's eye. I tend to see things more inwardly, although sometimes outwardly as well. And people would come to me, even like kids at school would ask me to pray for them and to help them with something. Now, that's partly connected to the fact that my biological father was a Protestant clergy member. So that's part of it. But I also feel that they were picking up on the fact that I've always been fascinated by spirituality. So I would channel answers from my spirit guides or any higher being wanting to help me. I wasn't very specific in those days. And I would do that in my 20s and 30s, sometimes my teens, even when I was younger. And then about 10 years ago or so, I thought, wow, so many people are channeling. I could do that, but I don't know who to channel from. And then within a day, this beautiful group showed up in my inner eye and said, well, we have messages for light workers. Would you take those down, please, and share them? And I said, yes, sure. And so that's how it started, where I was channeling. I would ask a question or they would choose a topic to discuss, and I would channel a message that was written and on my website. And then over time, I started putting them into YouTube videos. And also, within a year or so of starting that, I was doing sessions for people. And very shy about it at first. I would do it just written emails and then over the phone, and then finally Skype and now Zoom, and didn't want to see myself as I was channeling. It was very distracting at first, but you just grow into these roles, I guess. So that's what I've been doing for quite a while now, since 2014, 2015. And uh, the collective are a beautiful group of higher beings who are angels, archangels, benevolent ETs, what people call elementals, meaning the Fae, elven elders, that sort of a thing, Fae elders. They do exist, nature spirits, and also beautiful ascended masters, people who just want to help us. They just want to lend their wisdom and assist us because we're in such a powerful time of change. So that's who I bring through when I channel. And they say 99% of their work is energetic, and I can feel all these energies going out from me through my heart space. And I kind of had to get used to that um, because it would bring up tears, whatever. My own wounding would become obvious to me in that moment. And I've worked on that for many, many years. But it was just kind of beautiful in a way to feel all that love and all that higher life flowing through me to the other person and or the group. So yeah, that's what I do. I do group and individual sessions. I have the YouTube channel. I do written channelings, and also I've channeled books from the collective because within a year they said, "Great, now we've got a book we'd like you to take down." So I started doing that. So that's pretty much it. Um,
Well,
yeah.
so I've asked most speakers this at the end, but it feels like you've kind of already hinted at it. What, you know, what would you advise people who are looking for their purpose? Like it sounds like yours kind of emerged and then you had to find the courage to step into it. What would you say
Yeah.
to people who are ready to make a difference for the world, but they're not quite sure what their role is?
Well, it's a really beautiful question, and I do get that a lot, or the collective hear that a lot in sessions. And I would say that the first step is not to sort of leap into something that, even if you're interested in it, that's fine. You can go and work in that area. But for one thing, people have a work-life purpose. They have their life work, and then also they have an earth life purpose. An Earth mission is actually a lot bigger than any job or business you and I will ever be in. And it has to do with the energy work that each person is offering to the Earth. And we're very busy in the etheric, in our etheric bodies. As we're sleeping at night, we're very busy with, offering energy work here or there, connecting with the crystalline energy grid, or up on the ships, or in inner Earth, which is still very high dimensional in places. And a lot of people have heard of Inner Earth and the city of Telos, which is huge. It runs from Mount Shasta all the way down to Sedona, Arizona, where I lived for a few years. And the important thing is that you realize you're doing that all the time, whether you know about it consciously or not. That's run by our higher selves. So you might be working with a particular population, this group over here in this country, or with children or elderly and people who have disabilities, or with your average person who's very close-minded and doesn't want to think that anything of the spirit actually exists. It can range to anything: environment, medicine, social work. It can range to anything, as well as an awful lot that's energetic work that you and I have never heard of. It's high-level physics, and it's very important. Sacred geometries are flowing to the Earth right now, higher light with light codes and light data that are informing our every cell. Look, you can move up to the fifth dimension. It's very powerful stuff. As far as our work life, our work purpose, I always encourage, and the collective encourage people to start listening to their inner voice, their higher self, their spirit team of spirit guides, angelic guardians, and higher self, and start asking them questions, and get into this sort of intuitive back and forth with your spirit team to say, I want clarity on this. I require clarity on it. And if you can't hear inwardly, that's all right. A lot of people can't image inwardly, or they don't really hear what's going on inwardly. They don't hear their team. You could just say, look, just pop the right answers and the right direction into my head. So I'll know what to get training in, or I'll know where to use my training, or I'll know to work for this company or this nonprofit, or to start my own business, or be a contractor, freelancer, etc. And I'm listening, I'm open. And those beautiful messages, however they come to us, they'll be infused thoughts sometimes. Something will just pop in, or we'll see something, we're reading, we're looking at the internet, or maybe it's a printed book or article, and our eye will fall on something, it'll light up like mad. Or somebody will say something, even a stranger just comments, da, 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 da. Doesn't have a lot of meaning for them, but it lights up for you and me in a very big way. And those are the moments to pay attention to. And the reason they'll say start listening to your team is because if you and I don't hear our spirit team in little ways, we won't really very easily clue into the bigger commentary and the bigger direction. We won't trust it. And sometimes it's hard to trust even the little stuff. Like, I've heard my team say, no, go to this store over here for that, not that one over there. And I'm thinking, they don't carry that item, and that's nuts, but I'll go there. Over the years, I've learned to just do as they say, because it saves time and effort. And sure enough, what I need is there. And it's just kind of funny in a way. When I'm so used to it now, I hear them and I don't even always say, oh, that's my spirit team. I just think, okay, that's some inner wisdom. And yes, I'll try that. I'll go there. Yeah. And it's amazing. So then things open up a bit more. But if somebody really needs to cue into divine assistance and guidance right now, you can do that. You don't have to build up to that, but you've got to really focus, and you've got to be open, and not in an anxious way, not in a way that you're willing to sort of do all this hard work and trudge uphill and make everything difficult. Just being calm, being open, being in receptive mode. Spending time each day in meditation, even if it's only 10 or 15 minutes, that's okay. That counts. And also, making use of affirmations, writing out affirmations. I am moving into my life work perfectly right now with calm and peace, and I'm thrilled. It's not only great fun to do, but I am compensated brilliantly as well, and I give thanks. And that's a long affirmation, but however you write it down, and on the right, just write your immediate gut reaction to that statement, because it will probably be your subconscious saying, no, that's not
Yeah.
true. Write it again. I'm divinely guided to my perfect work for perfect pay. I give thanks. And this happens now, not 5 years from now. And again, react on the right. You want to keep writing that and keep reacting. And then you'll see that reaction go neutral a bit, like, really? Are you sure?
Hmm. Hmm.
Wow, that'd be great. And keep writing it until that there's a beautiful response on the right, at least 2 or 3 times, that says, yes, thank you, I believe it. And then find another way to write it, because some people, a lot of people,
Hmm.
have it in their head, because we're trained this from the cradle. We're trained to believe if you do what you love, you won't make any money at that. You've got to do this over here because it's practical. Be the accountant, be the engineer, the doctor, or the architect, or whatever. But don't kid yourself that you can be an artist or a poet or a teacher and still have a nice house or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
this is something we fill children up with in this and other cultures, and it's not right. It's not good. So you know, um, it isn't always a very clear-cut path, but every place you work and everything you look into is going to contribute to who you are overall by the time you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s. Now, I will say an awful lot of light bearers develop their work really relatively later in life, late 40s, 50s, early 60s. I didn't start running my own business until I was 50 years old. Okay. So, and that one was that 2011, and I was mainly writing and then and editing freelance. And then my team said, no, we want you to move the channeling to the middle. Right now it's a bit on the side. We want you to move the channeling to the middle. And then they provided the support for me to do that while the business was just a fledgling effort to begin with. I'm not even sure I call it a business. I would just say it's my practice. It's my energy practice is what I offer people. So all those years in my 20s and 30s and into my 40s, people just thought I was nuts just being a writer and
Hmm.
not having an orthodox career, and sort of just accepting I was a confused person who refused to commit to something real. And I got that from my family. I got that from a lot of people, and just stopped caring at one point. I just said,
Hmm.
no, this is who I am. I'm a writer. This is just what I am. I was an actor for a while as well. And very important to me to travel, to see other cultures, which I have done. I've lived in Northern Ireland. I was a full-time community worker there for a year. I've lived in England. I worked for a nonprofit there as well, which was very, very difficult. So I've had just a lot of experiences, but all of them played into what I started doing, all right, in 2014. And I was not a young woman anymore. I was 53, but well, I guess young compared to somebody who's 100, but um, I, I just had to let it evolve. And I was learning, studying, reading. I spent 30 years reading spiritual materials
Hmm.
and starting to understand how energy works. And I'm not saying, oh yeah, that will be everybody's path. Not at all. Because some people start naturally doing what they are at a very young age. They just start playing music. They just start acting. They just start being brilliant at math or building things,
Hmm.
whatever.
Hmm.
And that's just who they are. And that's wonderful. But what I would say is we have to honor that. Whatever you really love, you have to honor and trust that you're going to be divinely led to the right structure for your gifts. And as I say, it can take time to unfold. Be kind to yourself. Don't be critical of yourself in that time. Keep checking in with your spirit team. What am I supposed to do? But that is a huge question that I hear a lot in channeling sessions. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And going in another direction, you have experience being an activist. Um,
Mhm. Yeah, well, mhm.
tell us about that, and then we'll sort of put it
That
together.
started in like my mid-20s, I guess. I was living in London when I was 23 for a year, and the proliferation of nuclear arsenal in that country and in the US was alarming many activists. And then I moved to New York City after that with maybe just a few $100s in my pocket. I do strange things like that. And then apartheid, everyone was very upset about that, what was going on in South Africa. and wanting to free Nelson Mandela from house arrest and on and on. And then it never stopped. Then I moved on to protection of the environment and protection of women and the indigenous peoples, and always a children's advocate. Always I've worked with children a lot, just to encourage them to write, to express creatively, to really honor their intuitive selves. So yeah, it's interesting because I seem to have moved as a peace activist. I seem to have moved from this time of anger and resistance, where I was in all these demonstrations and carrying signs and whatnot. And I still write to Congress members and I still sign petitions, but I don't, what I don't feel so much now is the anger, because I realize that might be a component. It's sort of like the old power structure set things up, and they're weakening, they're on their way out, but they set things up to divide people.
Mm.
And if you and I get really angry and hate this group over here, or even the people in supposed power, supposed or presumed authority, that sets up huge divisions. And then we've created another clash instead of erasing the clashes that are there. And I know there are terrible situations that we're all concerned about on the planet right now. But to go into anger kind of just sets up, as I say, more separation. And what we need to move toward on this and any planet is oneness and unity consciousness. And I've really had to work on this because I've had a lot of anger. I had different times coming from a very rough family situation and then having a hard time living in these big cities in my 20s, early 30s, where women are not respected, young women are not respected. At least they weren't at that time. And just built up a lot of anger about different things, abusive relationships, etc. But I had to come to a point where I saw the trap. I saw that we were supposed to be opposed to one another and that was by design. And I thought, I'm not doing that anymore. And that's not to say I don't vote. I did vote a few days ago. That's not to say I don't care anymore. Like I say, I still write to Congress members and I call Washington offices and I sign petitions and on, send public comment in. And that's very, very important. But I try to do it from a place of understanding that we are in a giant hologram in this universe, and what appears to be solid and real is just pure energetic experience. And it's something our souls chose before we incarnated. And that sounds a bit insane because so many people are in intense problems right now. But once we realize I'm not a victim, and neither is this person over there, even while I weep for them, I realize the power of their soul. And there's something very freeing about that. And the realization life goes by in a second. Earth lives just a few minutes. To our loved ones on the other side, we go down to earth. Even if we make it to 98 or 100, we're back in just a couple of minutes. And it's not something to take so seriously that we think that it's the last sort of writing on our soul, and that we have to be someone who is always responding or reacting. And sometimes we can just allow. I chant Sanskrit mantras, and I find them each morning, I find them very, very healing. I chant different ones. And I meditate as well, because I don't want to live in reaction. And it's easy to do that if you're an activist. It is, yeah.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. A lot of people come to me, and I face this too,
Yeah.
being reactive about the horrors in the world, and
Yeah.
either sometimes stuck in anger, sometimes stuck in anxiety. So
Yes.
what do you suggest
Yeah.
for people to not, it's not just that anger and anxiety don't feel good. It can prevent us from doing what's going to make a real difference.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, it's not only injurious to our systems to be under that kind of stress, but also, you're right, it can hold us back from adding more positivity rather than more conflict energetically. But what happens in channeling sessions is that the collective and a person's spirit team, whom the collective always invite in, they will look to see what happened to this person in another life that they get so triggered by these situations, the horrible storm and the flood and the war and the armed conflict and all this domestic violence. And they will generally see that this person has experienced this in other lives, and they're highly, highly triggered. They came in to heal that. So they feel, if I fix everything outwardly, or if I tell my government, hey, wake up and figure this out, and stop sending so much money and so many arms to this country or that, then I'll feel better.
Mhm.
And that's supposedly the path. And those people will be safe and we'll all be fine. But the trouble is that these issues keep popping up in so many different places. So just to solve one or to object to one issue isn't enough. When we start to heal ourselves, we are literally healing humanity. We are healing the earth. And even healing our own bloodline and parts of Earth history. And that's our first point of responsibility, always.
I just
Sounds crazy, but
no, I
it is.
just got something. So I participate with Landmark Worldwide, and one of the big distinctions there is that if you keep doing something with that's not getting the results you say you want, maybe it's getting you another result you want. And I'm
Yeah.
realizing that being ineffectual in activism, just expressing anger in a place where you know it's not going to get heard, could be
Mhm.
a way of keeping the wound alive because you're
Yeah.
hoping to heal it.
Yeah.
That's really deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna look more at that, but that's something that I just got because I mean, to some extent, we might think these things will be effective because they have been somewhere, right? Big
Yeah.
protests have changed
Yeah.
things. They made a difference with apartheid. They certainly made a difference with, black civil rights in the 50s.
Of course. Yes.
But people really will just keep going. Just this sounds much more patronizing than I mean, to hear their voices. And I don't mean because they're arrogant. I mean because their voice needs to get out of their body, which
Yes.
is
Yeah.
valid, and
Mhm.
not taking a step back and saying, is this making a difference? What could make a difference?
Yeah.
At a certain point, we have to ask, why do we keep doing things that we've seen don't make a difference?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. And I would just say for myself and any activist, have you healed that battleground that is your own soul history, which can be a lot. Most of us on the planet now have lived hundreds of lives here, hundreds and hundreds, sometimes 1,000 or more. And we're in a position now where we've come in and all this beautiful higher light is flowing to the earth, and a lot is being upended, a lot is coming up to the surface, but it's coming up to be healed and finally resolved and released. It's not coming up for one more huge war, more battles. And so, out of practice of being in many, many situations over many lives where we got angry and pushed back and did this and that, this would be our very natural response to go back into the fray once more and go back onto the field and just start swinging. And this is totally understandable, completely understandable. But I feel, and many people feel, that this era we're in is different. It's really, really different. And if we don't establish healing and peace within ourselves, we're not going to see it in our outer world. All the outer world is a reflection of where you and I and billions of other human beings are right now. And if we love our separation, we love our cultural defensiveness, and we love our national boundaries, and we love our ethnic or religious boundaries or gender boundaries, on and on. We're not going to be able to contribute very well to what others are needing to go through and needing to experience. And, one of the best things you can do for somebody who's suffering is just be there with them. You probably can't cure them of cancer in an instant. You probably can't take that heartbreak out of them. Now, energy workers can help with that. But if they're going through something big, generally their higher self is guiding them through it. And that can absolutely apply to countries as well, as insane as that sounds. And there are parts of the earth as well that hold extreme density and violence because that's what's happened over millennia or over centuries. There has been violence, and energetically, the land still holds that. Now, a prime example is to look at the US and see centuries of slavery, 2.5 centuries of slavery, centuries of annihilation of the indigenous peoples and their cultures,
Mm-hmm.
and making their languages and their spirituality illegal, just as it was illegal to teach an African American to read and write for a long time. And you're right, we had to push to get voting rights for everyone, for women, for non-whites, etc. And now there's obviously a very structured response to that that wants to take away people's basic rights again. And so we could be in a situation where we're screaming, this is Handmaid's Tale, and this is that, we're going back to the 1950s and apartheid and da 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 on and on. We could absolutely do that. What interests me is that we can go into a state of asking why. Why are these particular self-presumed authorities, self-made authorities, telling us to hate one another, and what in me might have contributed to that, or what in me could help to weaken that message and render it null and void without getting out of my chair. That's the tough part. We can leap up and go to a demonstration or be angry or be on Democracy Now! And spew out ideas, and that's totally fine. I completely respect that. I did that myself for decades. The hard part is sitting quietly and saying, what's the conflict in me that I'm seeing this around me, or I'm seeing it happen to my neighbors. I'm seeing it happen to these people who are totally innocent. And what's going on with me that I'm weeping over them, probably what they're going through. Probably it's not just because they're going through something tough. It's because, again, I got triggered. I and my family went through that at some point, and it's sitting there, and I'm seeing all this now to give me an opportunity to finally heal what's in me. And that is our first line of responsibility in this world, is to take care of our own stuff. If everybody did that, we wouldn't have war. We wouldn't have people pushed out of their homes. We wouldn't have whatever system or person starts these horrible wildfires out west and a number of countries. We wouldn't have all this devastation. And it sounds kind of ridiculous, and it's something that a lot of people don't want to accept, but that's our first line of responsibility. If your own house is on fire, it's up to you to find a way to put it out. And yes, there's other houses
it will spread.
Fire,
yeah.
But yes, exactly right. Those energies of bitterness and rage, that can spread. And then what kind of peace activist would I be, or would anybody be, if that was our MO?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have thoughts, I have pushback questions, and we're almost out of time. So let's go to share about the free gift you're offering people. Do you want me to remind you what it is, or do you remember?
Oh, golly. I'm trying to remember the name of it, because that was a while ago.
Yeah, we filled out this form a while ago, and it is called, what is it? Galactic Healing Chamber.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. That is a beautiful guided meditation where I'm channeling the collective. Many people found it very helpful, but you're actually going onto a ship, beautiful ship. They're all over our skies. If you look up, you'll see cloud ships, which are cloaked ET ships. And I know it sounds wacky, but that's the reality of it. I live in New Mexico. We see them all the time. And you're up on a ship which is an amazing, beautiful structure. And you go into a room that is specifically for healing. It's a healing chamber. And you're surrounded by, if you prefer to see angels, that's fine. Light beings, which just look kind of in the shape of people, but they're just pure light. Or ET healers. There are healers amongst the galactics who are absolutely amazing. The mantid people, for instance, are very naturally, beautifully loving and caring and full of compassion, and they are healers. And you are surrounded by them as you lie on a soft table, a padded table. You are surrounded by them. You let them know, I need help with this, please, whether it's mental, physical, spiritual, whatever it is. I can't forgive this person. I've had a pain in this part of the body or other for a while. I'm very confused about this issue, and I'm asking for healing for that. Generally, just say one issue. And this is mainly only about a 15-minute meditation, but they will extend help to you. It's helped me. It's helped many people, both with something you're going through mentally or emotionally or physically. And I still listen to it upon occasion if I feel like I need that support. And it's very simple to do. All you do is ask for assistance and then relax and let them work on you. and you can listen several times if you want. But it's a beautiful meditation because it's a way of saying, this pain or this issue has been a part of me. It's part of my personality practically. It's part of my daily life for a while. But I'm going to release it. I'm going to stop identifying with it as if that's who I am or part of who I am. I'm just going to let it go. And I'm going to accept the inner healing required to do that. And that means raising your vibration to where that issue can't touch you anymore. Sometimes it means releasing old contracts from other lives, old oaths and vows, somebody holding on to you in the etheric, stealing your life energy because you promised yourself to them. You said, I'll always look after you, always care for you, or always love you, or whatever it is. That stays in place. That absolutely stays in place for eons until you release it. We have a lot of soul contracts, all of us, with different people, different situations, belief systems, various old paradigms that we've just got to release. It's past the time for that now, unless we enjoy struggle, and I don't know anybody who does. So you can say, please remove the core of it, please remove the cause of it energetically, and not only the issue itself. Going as far back in my life, history on this planet as needed. However many lives, my soul history, all of it, just erase, please, that particular design in my life chart or in my soul stream. So it's just a really lovely way to offer up what you're going through and being willing to release it. And those beings will be right there with you. They're absolutely wonderful.
Hmm. Well, thank you so much, Caroline. So glad to meet you. So glad to be sharing your wisdom with our audience. And thank you for what we've learned here.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have another question, a pushback question, as you're saying, or?
I do. I do. Just about the whole idea about, like, if everybody healed themselves, the world would be a better place. But if just a few of us heal ourselves and we don't stop the people
Yeah.
who are unhealed and have a lot of impact,
Yes, absolutely. I follow.
are we abnegating our responsibility in the physical world?
Well, that's a great question because we are in this physical setting. And I would say spend a lot more time healing yourself than you do trying to fix the world. But I totally understand about how important it is to vote and to call or write a Congress member or the UN or what have you. I completely back that, but it's secondary to healing ourselves, I feel. And that's just something that I've come to realize over the years. One of the reasons we're so active in wanting to change things out in the world is because it makes us feel awful to see people harmed, discriminated against, cut out, deported, whatever it is. And so again, the question is, well, then what is it in you that feels awful about that? For instance, there's things that I don't care about that are wrong, like when they fix games in pro ball. I
Right.
just kind of shrug that off. That doesn't affect me, but I could be an activist to keep all that very honest, but I don't choose that. So why have I chosen war or misuse and maltreatment of the environment or of women and children? And why have I chosen certain things? And it's all to do with what we've experienced in the past. So I think, yes, absolutely stay active, but realize where that wound began. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for not stepping over that. I'm glad we got that answer.
Yeah. Well, it's lovely to speak with you and huge blessings and thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much, Caroline.